All right, thank you so much for joining us on our 120th edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. I'm all alone today as Andrew is dealing with a sick baby and a sick wife, so I hope they're all getting better. And Andrew, we'll get you back next week. It's going to be a lot of fun with Elena next week. Anyways, before we get to our very special guest, Mr. David Gourlay. Gourlay? Gourlay. Why don't we check this out? All right, thank you so much. So that was Lucas Haneman Express. He is playing July 14th at 6 p.m., which at the Monster Stage. The Monster Stage is the Black Sheep stage from last year, so they changed some of the names of the stages around at Blues Fest this year. That was the song "The Race" from the album "Welcome Aboard," and you can see him playing all around Ottawa. He plays at Brook Street. He's an amazing guitar player, and I hope you check him out at Blues Fest. As always, at our intermission, Jenn from Foodie Prince will be talking about carb loading because she is going to be racing in the Ottawa race weekend. This is my favorite weekend of the year.
Yeah, this weekend. That's right.
Great Glee Garage Sale. You got baseball starts in Ottawa. Right. You got the Ottawa race weekend. So free concerts at City Hall. Awesome food. Sun's shining. It's a great weekend in the city. I hope you are planning to be outside and not staying inside this weekend.
That's right.
All right, so what better day to get David onto the show, because I'm a huge baseball fan, and I never thought I'd meet a bigger baseball fan than you. And that was, I met you maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
3 years ago now, Nick, yeah.
And you were the biggest baseball fan then because you would wear jerseys of every team. I never understood that.
Yeah, I love the game, and I'm often asked, who's your favorite team? Of course, I'm a Montreal Expos fan, and when they left baseball and in the drama and the controversy of the Jeffrey Loria, John Henry, and I mean, when you take your favorite team away, that really, makes you quite, there's a lot of animosity towards it, and you think to yourself, well, I've invested all this time, and I've been a fan of baseball since I was a kid. I think back to Gary Carter, Andre Dawson, Tim Raines. I mean, those Expos teams had real personality. And I was very attracted to that as a kid. And I love the game. The game, it's a slow game, it's a fun game, it's a strategic game. There's a lot going on the field. The average fan doesn't necessarily realize that.
Every single pitch, it's
That's
different.
Right. The pitches, the relationship between the pitcher, catcher, second baseman, the runner on first, third, the pitches, the pitch sequences, and all that kind of stuff. So since the Expos left, I'm a fan of the history of baseball. So I love the Pirates, the Indians, some of the teams that don't necessarily perform, well year in and year out, although the Pirates have had a great run over the last 3 years.
And you're a big fan of Roberto Clemente, which was one of the greatest players of all time, top 10.
And that's why it's so fantastic for the Champions to have Hal Lanier. Hal is the first person that I've met who met Roberto Clemente.
Really?
And he's right here in Ottawa. And Hal was telling me some great stories about what a gentleman Clemente was. Yeah. Everybody knows Clemente was one of the best hitters ever. But now I'm hearing stories about the man himself.
He did so much charity work.
He did.
Right?
Well, that's how he died.
Yeah.
He was taking supplies to Nicaragua. Plane went down. Body never recovered. It's just so sad. But here's Hal, managing the Ottawa Champions. independent professional team, talking about how he got hitting tips from Roberto Clemente.
Really?
Like the legend.
Where did Hal play?
Hal played for the San Francisco Giants and New York Yankees, among others. And he was, he never played with Clemente. He played against Clemente. Yeah. But Hal, you should have a discussion with him, Nick, because he played with Willie Mays, Orlando Cepeda, Juan Marichal, Willie McCovey. I mean, these are not just baseball names. These are American legends.
Yeah. And their numbers retired.
All their numbers retired. They're in the Hall of Fame. I mean, this is like top of the line. And even when Hal wasn't playing, he was managing the Houston Astros, National League Manager of the Year in '86. He managed Nolan Ryan, who, of course, is perhaps arguably the best pitcher ever, right? And here's Hal coaching us in Ottawa. So what a fantastic opportunity.
How did he come about? Who first approached you, or you approached him? Because he was living in Florida.
That's right. He lives in Florida full-time near St. Petersburg. We approached him. We were talking to a few candidates at the time, having difficulty nailing somebody down, and Miles Wolf, our majority owner, said, you know what, I know Hal Lanier. I'm going to give him a call. I had never heard of Hal Lanier. He's not exactly a household name, particularly in this city. So I looked him up, and I thought, oh my God, we've got a real pro here. And this speaks to really the commitment that the Champions have to our fans. If you're going to come to this ballpark and you're going to spend your hard-earned dollars with us, we want to make sure that we put a commitment of a winning team on the field.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that starts with the manager, and that's Hal. And then it cascades down with our pitching coach, our first base coach, our equipment manager, and of course our players. So a name like Hal Lanier may not be a household name right now, but I'll give it 3-4 months. By the end of the season, he's going to have that in this city.
Now, what is the Can-Am League? Like, a lot of people are going to be asking, because it's going to be an interesting season, because people are they gave their love to the Fat Cats, and they left. Right. They gave it to the Rapids and left. Sure. The Lynx left. The Ottawa Rough Riders left. The Ottawa Renegades left.
Sure.
I just see, for people, I think it's going to take some time.
Sure.
For them to go, you know what? Can I buy the jerseys? Can I buy everything for
That's
the
right.
team?
Nick, you hit the nail right on the head. So this by far has been the biggest challenge so far, which is why I started the Champions for Ottawa Baseball 3.5 years ago, when I found out the city of Ottawa was investigating the possibility of bringing professional baseball back to the city. I approached the mayor, I approached councillors, I approached city staff, and I said, look, don't do this in a silo. Get the community on board early.
Yeah.
Make sure you have businesses, charities, families, community associations supporting the concept of professional baseball returning before you announce a team, before you announce a team name, before you announce personnel, so that the community is ready to support it right off the bat, as opposed to 3-4 years later when the team is struggling. So the business plan that I always had was to make sure that the team had a soft landing. That soft landing consists of having lists of individuals, businesses, charities, as I've just mentioned, that are willing to support the new team. It's like a turnkey solution type of thing, right? As opposed to having to move uphill, explain who we are, explain what we're all about. Your question is about Can-Am. This is our second Can-Am team in the city of Ottawa. Miles brought a team in 2008, the Ottawa Rapids. What they didn't have, though, was they didn't have a long time to get the operation in place. They essentially had 4 months to get from when they incorporated themselves and announced the team to starting to play. We've had a year.
Yeah. Why did Miles think that? Why did he even do that in 4 months?
Well, because
is he the biggest baseball fan? Is he bigger than you?
Well, he's been in the industry for 40 plus years.
Okay.
Miles Wolf actually owned the Durham Bulls when they made the movie Bull Durham. That's where he's made a lot of his wealth from a baseball standpoint. As you can imagine, Bull Durham, if you owned any part of the Durham Bulls at that time, your equity and your stake in that team is going to shoot through the roof. As he likes to tell, I think they made something like over $1 million in merchandise sales within about 2 weeks of the movie coming out.
They're the only team that has a better stadium than their parent team.
That's right, exactly. You hit the bull and win a steak, something like that. So Miles' business strategy at the time was very quickly put together because he had no choice. He was working with the city of Ottawa. He got a team.
He's not from Ottawa.
He's not. No. He's an American. He's from South Carolina. And I think the really big difference is this time, Nick, is, and I could talk about this forever, we have the city's commitment. We got a 10-year lease. We are going to benefit from the Coventry Bridge overpass, which is linking us to transit. In 2018, that's going to be light rail.
You can bike on it.
We can bike on it as well. You can take the bus now. You can cross it over the Queensway as opposed to having to walk over the overpass,
which was terrible.
It was unsafe, and it took forever, right?
Yeah,
so now we have that support. The city has now put $2 million of extra life cycle money into the ballpark, which you and I are seeing right now.
It does look great.
The team itself, we have invested just under $500,000 in new aesthetics. We're looking at our brand new video scoreboard. I'm going to be really honest here. Fans have been coming to baseball games in this ballpark for the past, let's say, 10 years, I think, since the Lynx left. And they see the same old scoreboard. They see the same old tired aesthetics of this ballpark.
In a city of 1 million, it was unacceptable.
And they say to themselves, there's no commitment from ownership, there's no commitment from past city councils to really embrace the game of baseball in this city. We have that now. That's why we're called the Ottawa Champions, because we have champions and we have supporters from across the city, starting with the city of Ottawa. And I give them full credit for that, by the way. When we signed a 10-year lease, that's when we knew we have a 10-year business plan. We're not just thinking about opening day in July and August. We're thinking about 10 years here. Yeah. We've got plans in place for the next year to 3 to 5 years, just to start, to build a sustainable equity base and to build a sustainable baseball business. That's what this is about.
And it's not just going to be the champions playing here. There's still the National Capital Baseball League is still playing here.
Absolutely.
Which is a great, if anybody's listening, that doesn't think there's men's baseball and OSSC is the only option, it's not.
Absolutely.
I had a 125 batting average.
There you go.
Right before surgery. I couldn't. I'm still injured. It was terrible.
We actually played them. They're All-Stars on Tuesday night.
Who won?
They were here. We won.
What was the score?
I think it was 12-0.
12-0, really?
Yeah. We went easy on them.
So that's good. What is your role as a team, as president?
Sure. So I'm a minority owner. I have a very small percentage stake of the team. I felt it was important for me to put my name on the ownership roster to give it that local flavor, because as we've said, Miles is not from Ottawa. He's certainly very familiar with our city, and I give Miles 100% credit. He has recognized that baseball belongs here. He is a great partner to work with. And we're very happy to have him back. And I think he recognized that we can really make a good go of this, because the conditions now are different. There's better conditions for success. So I'm also the team president. Miles asked me to take on a community leadership role. You can call me a community ambassador. I drive a lot of sales. I do corporate sales, things of that nature. It's important for me to leverage the relationships that I have in the community to support Ottawa baseball.
Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of fun. I guess before we get to batting cages, who are some of the players on this team that people can relate to? So there's only one local one from Ottawa. How did you get players to come to Ottawa to invest, move away from their homes and everything?
Well, it's hard to do. So when we hired Hal was living in Florida at the time. We introduced Hal. We flew him up to Ottawa. We introduced him in November, just across the way here at the conference center.
Which restaurant did you bring him to?
Which restaurant? I don't think we brought. It was an in-and-out trip, but we introduced him over here at the conference center. We've taken him to the Clock Tower. We've taken him to a couple places since he's come to Ottawa last month. But what we knew with Hal was living in Florida, being a former professional manager and player, he's got a vast network. Mm-hmm. And he's able to leverage that network to host open tryouts, to contact his former counterparts across baseball and say, who do you think is eligible to play for us? Who do you think would look good in an Ottawa Champions jersey who can come up to Ottawa and make a contribution? It's a couple nuances we need to identify here. The beauty of working and playing in the Can-Am League, Nick, is that we don't have a parent club and affiliation like AA, AAA, Single A. The community can become attached to our players, and for the most part, sometimes there's some trades, which everybody understands. For the most part, those players are not here for 2 weeks and then just gone. Mm-hmm. If you're playing in the Detroit Tigers organization and you're in Erie, you're wherever you are, you become attached to a Carlos Pena or whoever, they're gone after 2 weeks or 3 weeks because there's no control. As a fan, you come to understand that. We don't have that problem in Ottawa. Our players are here to do one thing and one thing only,